Okay, in order to make this wood and yarn art, you're just going to need a few simple materials. Wood, make sure it's thick. I got mine from Michaels. Nails, yarn, a hammer, a glue gun, and bedazzled ornaments. Now, I printed this picture online and I wanted him to face the other way, so I just flipped him over. What you're going to do is you're going to take your nails and you're going to line them up just on the outline. I didn't do eyes or a mouth or anything. I just did the outline. Once you have your nail in, just make sure you hammer it firmly so it gets deep enough in there. My nails were 1.5 inches long and it was just barely enough to not poke through the other side of the wood. Now, as you see here, I went all the way around the elephant with the nails. And for the nails that were too close together, which I put mine pretty close together, you couldn't pinch to hammer in, you could just use a set of pliers to hold the nail in place as you hammer it. See, it works at all different angles. Next, you are going to tear the paper off of the wood, and that's pretty easy. Then you take your yarn and you start on one nail, and for the starter nail, you just make a knot. So I tied it twice around one nail. And then from there, you can go in any direction you want. No more knots. Just making sure that you wrap the yarn around the nail head twice. And another note, make sure that your nail head is a wide one. I couldn't find the ones that I really wanted because I went to Walmart and they didn't have as big a selection as probably Home Depot or Lowe's or a home improvement store would have. But it still worked. Now at the end, the same way you started is the same way you're going to finish. You're just going to tie a knot around one nail, and instead of cutting it, all I did was tuck it in. Now for the ornaments. I have beaded glass that I just had laying around, and I marked with a pencil where I wanted them to go, and I took my glue gun and I marked over the pencil mark, and I used my pliers because my nails were kind of long. I used my pliers to put them in place. And then after I was done, I thought, well, I just want to add more. I want it to be so sparkly and super colorful, and I really wanted it to be mixed media. So I went to the craft store and I picked this multicolored set of gems. And I just went in and I filled in the spots that I thought were bare. And I wanted his trunk to look like it was shooting water out of it, so I made them more condensed towards the beginning, and then as it tailed out to the end, I just made them spread out to make it look like water is actually being thrown. And it's as simple as that. In order to make this confetti tray, you're going to need a tray, gift tissue, ribbons. If you don't have the metallic gift tissue, Mod Podge. I got extreme glitter Mod Podge. Mod Podge Dimensional Magic. I got 2 of them and they were barely enough. A sponge and scissors. Okay, all the ribbons and the tissue is to make your own confetti. I chose these colors in gold and 2 varying colors of pink because I wanted to have some dimension to my project. So you're going to cut your tissue into smaller strips. Then you're just going to clip the ends off and make the small pieces of tissue that you see now that are going to be used for confetti. Now you repeat that process with your ribbons, cutting them into tiny pieces. Once you've cut your confetti up, take a second and enjoy because they're so beautiful. And then once you're done with that, you can go on with the project. So we're going to spread Mod Podge on the bottom of the tray and spread it around with the sponge. If you don't have enough Mod Podge, feel free to add some more like I did, but not too much just because you don't want it to get out of control. Spread evenly across the bottom of the tray. Once you've done that, you add your homemade confetti. Try not to let it bunch in one spot like I did, but that's okay because you can just shake it around. And then I turned it upside down to get any loose pieces, gather them up, and redistribute them onto the tray. Now for the next step, I did not wait for the Mod Podge to dry. I went ahead and got the Dimensional Magic. And be careful, don't let it all go in one place because then it will pool and you don't want that to happen. And remember I said 2 was barely enough, so I'd probably get 3 if I had a tray that was about this size. But I only had 2 and I made it work. Also, I took the top completely off the Dimensional Magic. That's the second bottle, and I'm just spreading it over as evenly as I can. And also when I'm done with that, I'm going to tilt the tray side to side just to make sure it gets spread out a little bit better. And as you see, the Dimensional Magic did alter the color of the ribbons and the paper just a little bit, but when it dries back to its original color, so don't worry. Drying time for this says 3 hours, but after 3 hours, I touched my nail in it and it was still a little wet. So I went ahead and let it set for 24 hours and it was perfect. And your confetti tray is done. In order to get these 4 beautiful wall hangings, we are going to need, first of all, a ventilated area, some tarp, canvases. I used 4 and I chose the size 11 by 14 just for my purposes. You need a plate to put the paint on. You need acrylic paint, a paintbrush, spray paint, and I got metallic gold finish, and 2 branches of fern. But I ended up only using 1 for most of them because I didn't like the way 2 turned out. Alright, so it's really simple. You just paint your canvases. Once you paint one, set it to dry. Paint the other, set it to dry. And by the time you cycle through all 4 canvases, you'll be ready to spray paint. And something I do want to say is that 2 of my colors do look similar outside, but with indoor lighting, there really is a difference. One is super dark and one is a lot lighter. So now we're ready to spray paint. You're going to lay your plant over the canvas and go to town with the spray paint. You repeat that same step with all your pieces of canvas. And when you're done spray painting, you just lift the branch off the canvas, set it aside, and wait for it to dry. If you do more than 1 coat, you do have to wait for about a minute or 2 between each coat. But I just used 1 coat because that worked fine for me. The drying time for this is about 15 minutes for spray paint, but when I went back at 15 minutes, it was still a little tacky, so I let it stay for probably about an hour or 2 outside. And that's it, simple as DIY. I hope you've enjoyed the video today. I've got so many more ideas coming that I want to do, so until next time, bye!